Good evening, this is David Powell. I'm introducing the ACAUS 2019 Annual General Meeting, so welcome. This is at the end of our conference today we've been holding in New York at the Convene Center at 101 Park Avenue. It's been a great day, and this room was full of people earlier, and it was a question of whether they wanted to go outside for a drink or stay in here and listen to the AGM, and as you can tell, most people elected one or the other. So what I'm going to do now to get us underway is we've got a very tight agenda today. We're going to try and keep this to about 30 or 40 minutes. We're going to start off with our President's report. We're then going to move to our Treasurer's report. And if you want a copy of that report, then please contact Executive Director at acaus.org, and we will send you a report copy out later after the event. After that, we're going to move to our Secretary's report to report back on the voting of the incoming executive. Then got a couple of other items on the agenda, and we'll then wrap. So thank you for joining us. And to start things off, I'd like to introduce our president, Chris Easton.
Thank you, David. Well, 2018-19 could be described as a year of change. We started out the year with David leaving as president and a new president, Mike Dexter-Smith, and I stepped in as vice president, and we had a new set of exec members. We faced a number of challenges. First off the bat was Canada indicating that they were no longer going to fund us at the same levels as prior years and phase out the funding by 2020. And this forced an evaluation of our strategy as ACAUS, and the exec team clearly felt that we had to change. So David had gone out and got a fair amount of member feedback, and we took that feedback and changed the approach to really drive value to members in this organization. And at the same time, to better engage with some of our home institutes and their approach to us from their Chartered Accountants Worldwide organization. So we really started working on a new strategy back in June last year. And we then had several other changes that occurred. For instance, Mike Dexter-Smith, the new president, resigned, and also our executive director resigned. So we started really implementing the change in January this year, and we've been running pretty hard since then. And one of the key things that we did was to change the AGM that we normally have in February to the conference it's our inaugural conference today, and we did this in 4 months, which is pretty outstanding, and I think we had a very, very successful conference today with over 150 attendees, and it's still going on till 9 p.m. tonight, so I encourage everybody to come next year. So other changes that we made: we had to become a lot more of an efficient organization, so we implemented a new technology infrastructure back in January. That was Microsoft Teams, to really bring everything into one central location and to encourage people to better interact within the organization. And that's been very successful. We couldn't have run this conference without the teamwork and the tools like Microsoft Teams. So I encourage everybody to join the team. The conference is all about ideas, trends, and technology that impact the accounting professional. And today we had fantastic speakers that really embrace that theme. And that's consistent with what a lot of our home institutes are doing as well. They are really thinking beyond the traditional accounting profession and how they have approached members to date. One of the key things that we did to drive more value was we became CPE accredited through NASBA. So we have wide appeal to those members that require CPE credits. And that was done in record time. The format of the conference was a fast-paced 15-minute TED Talk style, which I believe held people's interest and gave us great variety. I'd like to thank, in particular, David Powell as the conference chair, and he's taken a victory lap around the room. Thank you, David. We could not have done this without you. A key part of the organisation is the networking component, and that's taking place now. It's a core part of what I think ACAUS delivers as value. So, in summary, I can say the exec team is really working hard. We have to change. We've just started, and we're going to evolve this strategy, and we call this the ACAUS 3.0 strategy. We've been through 2 iterations since we were founded something like 25 years ago, and this is the 3rd iteration. And I would say the 2019 and 2020 year is a year of evolution of that strategy and maturation. We have a new incoming president. I'm going to step back to vice president. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank the executive team who have worked tirelessly, and the volunteers that have made this conference possible, along with the sponsors that have also supported us. This is such a great organization, and it's been a pleasure to see this evolution occur. So we will continue to work around the funding model, work more closely with other organizations, and really drive value. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Mark Billings. I'm the treasurer who was elected last year. So how does the money look? For those in the room, I've just put up the slide which shows our balance sheet. So we're not in too bad a state. So we ended the year with nearly $104,000 in the bank account. Part of that was due to one home institute who happened to pay us a little bit early. So we got some deferred revenue on the balance sheet. But another key driver was ultimately because of the AGM and the refocus on a new strategic direction, we dialed back some of the events that we typically do in the 4th quarter. And ultimately, I think that's been to the benefit of very, very successful conferences. I hope everyone in the room can cheer and display for. We received a clean audit opinion, and I think you'll learn shortly we've re-elected the current auditors. From a P&L perspective, I've just put up the income statement on the screen. We ended up with a $18,000 net surplus for the year. Again, as I said, most of that is driven by the focus during that final quarter on organizing today's conference. And we ended up with maybe doing 4 of the budgeted events planned last year rather than the 5 that we'd budgeted for. If you'd like a copy of the Treasurer's Report, as David had outlined earlier, please reach out to him at the Executive Director address. And hopefully, as we're planning for FY19, just to provide a quick update, that's still in progress. With some of the things Chris outlined, there's a lot of uncertainty of what direction ACAUS 3.0 is going to take. So that's going to mean, from a monetary perspective, a slightly different view of the world as we're looking at FY19. And more importantly, the next 5 years. So one of the things we are doing is looking, rather than doing just a one-year budget, looking out and projecting forward and modeling that to see how it looks. Other items is obviously to consider the cost of this conference. Just to give you a flavor of that cost, you know, it's in line with what we would typically incur for the AGM, but I think considering the AGM was generally just a 2-3 hour kind of speeches, happy hour, drinks, this has added far more value. Thank you.
My name is Conall McGonigal, and it's my pleasure to present the Secretary's report. We have achieved the quorum for the voting, which requires votes from 100 members of ACAUS. So we have achieved that. And now I don't want to keep you in suspense for too much longer. So after a dramatic pause, I'm very pleased to announce that the auditors have been re-elected. Yeah. I would like to invite Mark Billings to join us on the stage. Mark has been re-elected as treasurer by 150 votes in favour and 0 votes against. So it's impressive. I'm delighted to invite Sarah Johnson to please join us on the stage. Sarah has been elected as our new secretary, 148 votes for and 2 against. So congratulations, thank you very much. I would like to invite Chris Easton to join us on the stage. Chris has been elected as vice president, 148 votes for and 2 against. I would like to take this opportunity to really thank Chris for everything he has done for ACAUS during the year, for all his leadership, both in strategy and in technology, and his energy. And I think it's a great team to work with, and we really appreciate everything you've done. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Conall.
A few other quick things. I've been elected as president, so I'm very excited. I think that's probably downhill from now on for ACAUS. I apologize in advance, but I'm going to do my best. I'd like to mention that if David Freeman would please join us on stage. He's going to continue. He was already appointed as our board member on the executive committee at large. So thank you very much for that. And I'd like David Powell to join us as well. David is our executive director and our conference director. And as Chris mentioned, I think please a big round of applause. You probably saw him in action today, how busy he was, but he's been that busy for months pulling everything together. So thank you. And now I'd like to hand it over to Chris.
Thank you, Conall. Okay, every year at this time we give the Angus McDowell Award. Angus was the founder of ACAUS, and we award this to a ACAUS member that has gone above and beyond to provide services, volunteer services to ACAUS. And I'd like to announce this year that we are awarding this to Robert McDonald. Yay. And Robert, come up. Okay. So Robert McDonald was responsible for really getting us our CPE accreditation. When we decided to run this conference, it was done in record time, less than a month. And this is normally a process that takes 6 months or a year. There's a tremendous amount of work in it. And fortunately, Robert started it over 10 years ago. And finally, we got it, but we had to put the foot on the accelerator, and Robert came through. So Robert, please accept this as our token of appreciation.
Thanks. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, this is an honor to receive this award. As Chris mentioned, I've been working on this project since I started, which was around 10 years ago. And I want to thank the current executive team to help me push this over the finish line. I think it's a great value to the members of ACAUS, the chartered accountants and chartered professional accountants. I'll try and keep this short, but a quick history of what I've done in ACAUS over the years. Dallas chapter president since I started, and I was secretary for a couple of years and treasurer. And thank you, Mark, for taking over as treasurer. It was a lot of work. And I'm looking forward to the next 10 years with ACAUS. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to close things out now. Thank you, Robert. Well done. So that's CP accreditation. When we considered who was up for the award, the executive team unanimously voted for Robert. So Robert, you don't hear that often, right? So it's good. So thank you so much. So with that, it's the end of our formal agenda. Everybody here is encouraged to adjourn for some drinks and some food. The conference has gone well, so thank everybody for that. Those of you who are listening and seeing this, please try and join us next time. As Chris said, we're going to be looking to expand things out during the year. There's a lot going on. If you've got any questions, please contact any of the executive team. And if you want a copy of anything you've seen here, please contact executive director at ACAUS.org. Thank you so much and good night.